Hi guys, I'm Rahul. I'm back with another video. In my last video, I told you what is string and what are the arithmetic operations that we can do in Python. Our today's topic is list. It's a very important topic. Everything in Python will be using list or tuple, which I'll be telling you later, or dictionary. Also, it will be a part of my tutorial. So, very important topic today is list. So, what is list? Lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable. So Python has a great built-in data type named list. So list literals are written within square brackets. So the item that you are going to store in lists will be written inside a square bracket. So now I am in my Jupyter notebook and I'll try to explain what is list. So suppose you want to store colors in a variable, but you are storing multiple colors. So for that you have to use this square bracket, and here you can say red, blue and green. You can store n number of items here, but I'll just show you with 3 items now. So this is, you can call this as list. So if you try to see the type of this variable, you'll see the list, right? Now how to access the elements of the lists? So it's very important to note that Python starts indexing from 0. So if I say colors and try to fetch the 0th element, I'll see red. If I try to see the first element, I'll say blue. If I try to see the next element, I'll say 2, it will be green. But if I try to access the 4th element, it will say list index out of range, because we only have these 3 line items in colors, right? So since we have 3 items in list, the length of the list will be 3. Now you have these 3 items in this color list. Suppose you want to assign another list, say list 2, and you will assign this list with colors, the list that I have already declared. So now if you try to see the elements of list 2, you can just say, sorry, I have to put capital L, and you will see red, blue and green. Here it's very important that whenever you are doing an assignment, list 2 is not a copy of colors. List 2 is also pointing to the same memory location where these 3 elements are stored. And why I told you this? Because if you try to change any element in the list, say list 0, which is this element, and if I try to change the element and try to see list 2, it will say yellow, blue and green. But if you try to see colors, it will also say yellow. So it has been changed. So list 2 and colors are pointing to the same memory location, and hence changes in list 2 reflects in colors as well. So what did I do here to change it? So I used this assignment, right? So what then Python did is Python updates the lists, right? Because Python, the list data type in Python allows item assignment. That means you can update any element in list by just assigning this value with the index. So Python, since Python's list data type supports item assignment, you will be able to update any number of lists any number of items in the list with just uh, updating the index, right? Perfect. So what's next? So since you have 3 items here in colors, so it will happen very frequently that you have to access all the 3 items inside this colors list. So for that, what you will do, you have to use the loop. So the loop is nothing but a standard operation that Python or Java, or for that matter any language, supports. The loop will basically loop through all the line items in an iterable. So the colors is a list which is an iterable, or we have like Python sets, or we have like Python tuples. They are all iterable object, meaning iteration can be obtained on those object. So that is why those are called iterables. So to access all the elements in a list, you have to loop through that list. And how do you loop? What is the options that you can use to loop? So we have for loop and while loop. So similar to any other programming language, we have for and while in Python as well. And there you can just say for item, or in this case color, in colors. So very important point here is this color is depicting each item at the colors list. So how it will iterate? It will first go to red 0, then it will go to blue, that is 1, the index I'm saying, and then it will go to green, that is index 2. So here if you try to print the color, you will see yellow, blue and green, because we have updated the colors list already. So the way it will print is the way it will iterate, that is it will start from 0 and then it will go to the list, the length of the list minus 1. Okay, so it will print yellow, blue and green. Now you can do many more stuffs in lists. I'll show you everything, I'll tell you everything. So here you will say that you can print this, right? Now you want to see if a particular item is in the list or not. For that you can just say maybe this rate in is a keyword in colors. You can just write this, and Python, what Python will do, it will just say, return true or false based on the element if it's in the list. So since red not in the list, it will say false, right? It is saying. But if you want to try to see blue in colors, it will say true. So that means based on this check, you can do anything you want. So you can just say if blue in colors, print blue exists. So if else statement is also there. I'll tell you what are the conditional statements later, but just for the time being you can do this kind of operations in lists using this in operator. Now let's go to the operations that we can do on list. So we have ample amount of methods that we can use on lists to get the data, to modify the list, or to update, insert, delete, any kind of stuff that we can do in the lists are shown here. Okay, so first of, so we have, so before that, like this colors is a list which includes the colors of string type, right? You can also have a list called numbers. We'll say 1 2 3 and 4. Okay, so you can store anything in the lists. You can store something like alpha numeric list. If you say, you can just store 1 2, then Rahul, then data, everything you can store in. So you can just see what is alpha numeric list, and it will say 1 2 and Rahul data. So you can store any combination of types in the list, and it will just simply return whatever you have stored. So now you can see that alpha num returns this 1 2 Rahul and data. Okay, so you can also add something. Let's say you want a list 3, and you want to do alpha plus red, and if you now see the list 3, you can see that red has been appended. Okay, so now we'll go to the list methods for which Python provides. Okay, so first of all we have append. So what is append? So if you have a list, say L, which is 1 2 3 and 4, maybe 34 and 5, and if you want to append something at the end of the list, so append always works at the end. So whatever you want to append, it will be appended at the end of the list. So if you want to just say L dot append and do 3, you can see that L has been updated. So this is the L function. Now if you want to insert something in between the lists, so what is the index of 1? It is 0, right? And what is the index of 2? It's 1. So you want to insert something between 1 and 2. So you can use this insert method, where the first parameter will be the index. So I'll say 1 because I want to insert after 0 and before 2. So the position will be 1 here, because 1 is this one is on the 0th location and 2 is on the first location. So I want to insert something on the first location of the 0, and I'll say the element. So first parameter will be the index, and second parameter will be the element that you want to insert. So say 56 I want to insert. Now if you see that it has been inserted on that very index. Now you can do extend as well. You can extend this list using some other lists as well. Like if you have a L1 list which has 1 and 2, and you want to extend this L list with all these elements on the L1, so we can just say extend L1, and if you try to see what it will show, it will show 1 2 3 4 1 2 34 5 3 and 1 2 again in the L list, right? So that way you can just extend this list. So all the operations this list method is doing in place. That is, it is updating the L itself, the list itself. It's not creating a copy, it's updating the list itself. Okay, you have a remove function as well. So you can do remove, and you have to specify an element. So let's suppose we want to remove this element. So you can just say 5. Now if you see the list, it says that after 34 we have 3, right? And this has been removed. Again, it's an in place. It is updating L itself. Now you can do sort. You can also do sort on list. So we have this list now. If you just say sort and try to see the list, it will say that it has been sorted in ascending order. So you can also see that you have with the shift tab on the method, you will see the signature of this, and you have this reverse as well. So automatically it falls, by default it falls. That means it is sorting its ascending in an ascending order, but if you just say reverse true and try to run it, it will reverse the list. Now you have reverse as well, which will be reversing the list. It's not about sorting the way this list can be, but it will just reverse the list. Suppose you have a list called ref, which has like R, then W, then 1, then 2. Now if you say ref dot reverse and try to see ref, it will just reverse the list, right? And lastly, we have a pop function as well. So pop will keep deleting the items from a list from the end of the list. So if you say ref dot pop, so it will pop this last item. Now if you see the ref, you will see 2, 1 and W. So pop will keep popping the list, uh, the last object of that list. Okay. Now one more functionality in pop is you can provide the index. So let's say you want to pop the index 0th element. Okay, so you can just say pop 0. So it will pop this item, and now if you try to see ref, it will say 1 and W. So you have both the options. You this is optional. You can provide the index or not. If you don't provide the index, then it will pop from the last element of that list, and if you provide the index, it will try to pop that same index element. Okay, perfect. Now I want to tell you one very important difference between append and extend. So we saw that append is also appending in the end, extend is also extending the list at the end, at the very end, right? But we have a subtle difference. Okay, so let's say I'll get one list. So let's list 1. I have 1, 2, 3 and 4, and list 2 I have 5 and 6. So the difference between append and extend is extend will simply keep one list only and do 1, 2, 3, 4, comma 5, then comma 6. Okay, so we can see that doing extend with list 2 and checking list 1, it will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? But append will append this whole list as the fifth element in list 1, the whole list. It will act as if this list is a one element in that list 1. So it will just append the whole list inside list 1. So if we see this, append list 2 and try to see list 1. So now since the list 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it will append this list 2 as the seventh element for the whole list. So this is the essential difference between extend and append. So you have to use either of them very carefully when you are doing your coding. Okay, now the next important topic is list slicing. So what is slicing? Slicing means you can extract a sub list from a list, from an existing list. So if we have a list 1, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 and then 5 and then 3. Okay, now if you have to extract a sub list from this list 1, you can use the slicing. What is the formula of slicing? The formula of slicing is something like this. It should be list name, then start index, then stop index, and then the step size. So suppose you want to extract 1, 2 and 4. Okay, that is from index 0 to index 2. You have to write like this: 0 colon 3. Why 3? because the start index is inclusive but the stop index is not. So you have to always provide something stop plus 1. If you have to traverse from start to stop, you have to provide start colon stop plus 1. Okay, and that way you will fetch 1 2 4. Similarly, if you have to fetch 1 2 4 6, then you can say 0 colon 4. So for 0 colon 3, if I try to see, it is 1 2 4. It's just an extraction of sublist. It is not doing anything on the list yet until and unless we are assigning something to this sublist. It will just a way of extracting and showing you that what it has been extracted. Right? Now, since you are starting from 0 and 0 is the first element always in the list, Python automatically understands if you don't provide this 0 at all while sublisting. So if you do just this colon 3, Python will automatically understand that it has to start from 0, the first element from the left, and it will fetch, it will extract the same number of elements even if you don't provide the start. But you have to slice something from the middle, then you have to provide anyway. Okay. Similarly, if you have to extract 6, 8 and 5, then you can just say list 1. Then what is the index of 6? That is 0 1 2 3, right? So you have to start from 3, but you have to stop at 5, right? So the index of 5 is what? 0 1 2 3 4 5 5. So you have to provide 6. So to extract 6 8 5, you have to provide the start index 3 and the end index as 6. It will fetch 6 8 5. Similarly, if you have to fetch 6 8 5 3, then you can just have to say list 1 3 colon. And since the last element is 3, if you do not provide anything, Python will go to the end of the list and fetch 6 8 5 3. Right? Perfect. Now you can do one more thing. So this is positive indexing, what I told you right now, that is 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. Python also has a negative indexing. You can start from the last element and go to the first element. So the last element will be -1 as well. So if you just say list 1 -1, sorry, I made a spelling mistake, and it will fetch the last element. Similarly, if you have to see the last but 1, you have to do this list -2. Now, if you have to go from the end to the very first element of the list, that means reversing a list, you can also do it using this slice operator. That is, you have to provide colon colon and then the step size as -1. So this first colon means that Python has to traverse to all the elements. Okay. The second colon means there is nothing inside those colon, right? So that means Python has to traverse all the elements and Python don't need to stop before the last element. But here is the trick part. We are providing -1. That is, the step is -1. That way Python will understand that, okay, I don't have to start from 0 and go to the left of it. I have to start from the end and go to the left of it. So that way it will just reverse the element. Perfect. Now you can do one more thing using slicing. That is, you can update a part of list using slicing. So let's say I want to update this 1 2 with A and B. Okay, at a go. So you can just say list 1, then it will start from 0. So I don't need to provide. I have to go to 2 because 0 1 this 2, and I'll just say A comma B. Again I made a spelling mistake. That's it. Now if you try to see list 1, you will see that it has been updated. So what does this mean? This sublist is also pointing to the same memory location where this list 1 resides. Hence, anything you change in this list, the sublist, the original list will also get impacted. And that is the gist of list slicing. Very important topic. Thank you. And in my next class, I'll tell you what is tuples and what are the operations you can do in tuples. Till then, goodbye.